Hi, my name is Darren Kaberna. I'm the founder and CEO of Accelerate My Practice. And I wanted to chat with you today about incremental revenue and what it can do for your business, because I find a lot of confusion around it. And I find that it has people maybe making decisions that if they knew the numbers of their business slightly differently, it might completely change things. And here's what I want to talk about from a high level perspective. A lot of times people are like, hey, I'd love to hire a consultant. I'd love to hire AMP. You guys promise $120,000 or whatever it might be in growth. But by the time I take my overhead out, I pay you, there's nothing left. And while I understand that concern, if you know the numbers of the business more clearly, you might feel differently. And here's the reason why I say that. If you have $120,000 in growth and you're assuming in that scenario that you have 65% overhead or 70 or whatever it might be, by the time you subtract out your overhead, it'll leave you $42,000 in profit left. Then by the time you pay us or whatever consultant you might be working with, it might leave you in the hole. And that's why I think a lot of people are like, I'd love to hire you. I'd love the extra $120,000, but it makes no sense. Well, I want to break down that math and help you understand it differently. And here's where the difference comes in. You can't apply that 65% overhead to all of your revenue. And here's why I say that. Your overhead's broken into two categories: fixed overhead and variable overhead. Your fixed overhead are things like your rent, your water bill, your electric bill, your payroll for the most part. It could vary a little bit, but not a lot. Things like that. Your variable overhead is your lab, your supplies, and maybe credit card fees if you do a lot of credit card processing. Now here's the challenge with this. Lots of people, again, assume that 65% overhead applies to any sort of growth scenario, and it doesn't. Once you exceed your break even, which is all your fixed overhead for the month, everything else is only subject to your variable overhead. So if you grow your practice $120,000 as the example I previously illustrated, you won't be paying more rent, you won't be paying more water, more electric, you probably won't be paying more payroll because you won't change your hours. I mean, if you hire someone new, it's a different story, of course, but I'm going to go with we have the same number of people. So the only incremental overhead that you have in that scenario is going to be your supplies, your lab bill, and your credit card fees. And that's somewhere between 10 and maybe 20%. Your supply bill is 5 to 7%. Your lab bill maybe is 10 or 15. If you're a CAD CAM person, your lab bill is like 2%. And your credit card processing fees are like 2%. So there's not a lot of overhead in growth. So I really want to break this down mathematically so you can see how this works. And I want you to work the numbers for your own business. Pull up your income statement if you want to fact check me and find out what percent of your overhead is your lab, your supplies, and your credit card fees. And run this math for you or for yourself. So I want to go over to the whiteboard real quick and show this to you. So imagine we have this scenario and we've got $120,000 in growth. So we have $120,000 in growth. And out of that, we have to subtract this variable expense of, let's say, 20%. What that would leave you is $96,000 before you pay us. And let's assume you have like a $50,000 consulting package. That will, after you pay that, leave you $46,000 in profit in year one. In year two, it's totally different. So look how different this is versus what I was previously explaining. In the other scenario, if you take that $42,000 in profit that's left over after you pay your 65% overhead, and then you pay us $50,000, you're $8,000 in the hole. The reality is you're up $46,000 just in year one. Now imagine what year two is, because let's assume you maintain the same level of profitability here. But you don't have to pay us. So you now have $46,000 in profit from the first year. And then you don't have more consulting fees. Let's assume you just keep going. So year two, you're back to $96,000. Year 3, you're at $96,000. In total, in just 3 years' time, you're looking at $238,000 in money that goes in your bank. That's assuming I'm doing my math right here. I hope I am. Feel free to work it though. But it's incredible to see how this can add up. Now this is if we do the bare minimum for you. Imagine if we're more successful. Imagine if we actually do like our average for you of $364,000. Let's work that math. So we have $364,000 in growth minus 20% for your variable overhead. So you subtract that off. It's $291,000 in profit minus the $50,000 fee, just as a random example, leaves you a grand total of $241,200 in profit in year 1. So the first year you hire us, if you hit average, just average, and my question to you is, are you average? If you're average, you put $241,000 in your bank before you pay the IRS. Can't deny that. That's a lot of money. Now imagine what year 2 and 3 look like. So year 1, $241,200 in year 1. Year 2, you're back up to $291,200. Sorry, I'm looking at my cheat crib notes. Year 3, it's $291,200 for a grand total of $823,600. What would you do with almost $1 million more in your bank? What would you do with $823,000 3 years from right now? Would you pay down debt? Would you invest in your retirement? And this is if you're just average. We've had people who have grown $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 in 1 year's time. So back to my question I asked a few moments ago. Are you average? Because if you're average, this is almost $1 million decision in 3 years. If you're above average, it could be even more staggering. Sam, I want to head back over. It's shocking to me to think about what this adds up to, what this could do for your business, for your lifestyle, for your family, for your office, for your stress. If in 3 years we could hand you almost $1 million, all for $50,000, $60,000. It's a big, big thing. And I don't think most people understand it. So I encourage you, work the math. If you don't believe me, email me, call me. I'm more than happy to take a phone call from anyone who wants to debate this or say, hey, help me work my math. All you got to do is give me a copy of a P&L for the last year. I'll help you work the math for you so you can see what it would do for your business. I just want to help people achieve their dreams and goals. And I see so many people who are held back. And I think they're held back because of fear, because they're like, man, if this doesn't work, it sinks my ship. If it does work, my perception is that I'm $8,000 in the hole. And the reality is you're not. The reality is that you're up $40-some thousand, $46,000 if we're just at the bare minimum. If you're average, you're up $240,000 in the first year that you get to put in the bank. What would you do with that? I just want to help everyone I possibly meet achieve more profitability, reduce their stress, pay down their debt, and invest in their own retirement, invest in the retirement of their employees. And I know we can do it. I just realized recently that I think people were confused about the math because they don't know their own numbers. Know your numbers. Please, if I can implore you for anything, know your numbers. If you don't know them, call me. I would gladly sit down with you. I'll charge you nothing just to educate you on your numbers so you can understand how they might impact you. I so hope I get an opportunity to have a conversation with you. Even better than that, I hope I have the opportunity to hand you $800,000 in 3 years' time so you can live a different life, have a different retirement, sleep better at night, not worried about stress or payroll, whatever it might be for you. I so look forward to meeting you. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you found this helpful. Have an awesome day.
What if you could have the practice of your dreams? What's holding you back? Imagine a life where you have everything you ever wanted.